Welcome fans and racers alike as the Jeans Bowl F3 League returns here live and exclusive on Total Sim Sports. We're back for round 8 of the season and from across the Atlantic. Laguna Seca last week. This sees a very different challenge for the drivers in the form of Donington Park. We'll be racing on the Grand Prix circuit, so the additional section at the end. And Donington claims a sizable portion of Britain's motor racing heritage, being the country's first true road circuit to be built and the oldest still in current usage. From classic Grand Prix of the 1930s through to the modern era, the East Midlands venue has posed a popular challenge for riders and drivers alike. I'm Tim Cox, and we have Sean Cranleigh-Swash with us on production, but right now, as always, joined by my usual partner in crime, our expert C, Seb Bosher-Williams. Welcome along, Seb. Laguna, a little bit tricky last week, a bit hard to overtake for the drivers. Even said that, they still have a cracking good go at it, but I'll tell you what, Donington's got plenty of opportunities for overtaking around here.
It certainly does. Good evening, and yeah, welcome to another great night of racing tonight. Yeah, it's such a contrast, isn't it, from last week at Laguna Seca to Donington. Much more longer straights, much more overtaking spots. It's going to be a really, really interesting race today, and I cannot wait to get it underway as usual, really. Just sort of, actually, we're having a little bit of a look at Lee Aberdeen, and you can just see how many overtaking opportunities here. It's almost every corner is almost an overtaking spot, apart from, of course, the craner curve sort of after turn 1 down through turn 2 and 3. Not really an overtaking spot, but you've got the old hairpin. You might be able to try a little bit of a move there. Up to McLean's, into Coppice if you're feeling really brave, into the chicane. This is such an amazing racetrack, and we might be a little bit biased being British, but Donington has got to be sort of one of the best tracks out there, Tim.
I think I'll hardly agree with you. Just see Sam Hermer heading up into pole position for now. For, of course, qualifying. That is the usual open qualifying session lasting 20 minutes. We've got just over 11 minutes left on the clock during that for drivers trying to find some fresh air and get some cracking times in. And then it's across the race. 18 laps here today. And then we'll find out who was being crowned victorious. And it's definitely going to be a real challenge. A big grid, as always, within this championship. We've got 27 drivers out on track and looking to vie for the lead. And once again, as always, during qualifying, incredibly close times. Sam Hermer, provisional pole position, a second, just under a second, covers him through to 15th place. Scary, that currently occupying that position. He's on an outlap, so he'll be improving. Just see Sam Hermer heading through there, seeing what he can do. It's just set Purple in sector, the final last but one sector, and he goes quicker again, a 19.65. Only by about a tenth, but even so, it's just enough to extend his gap over Patricolo, currently in second, the Flying Italian. He'll be looking to add to his list of wins so far this season. So we see Roberto Fai cross the line there, an improvement in time for him, 1:19.9. Well, I mean, Seb, we seem to say this every week. The gaps between some drivers are just wafer thin, you know, like a cigarette paper. I mean, just between Van der Kokel and Rosenkrantz, you're talking 0.02 of a second is all that separates those two right now, and it's a still story up and down the field.
It is, and you know, we say it every week, it's such a small difference, it's such a small mistake. Patricolo really pushing there, sort of taking the curve. This is a really quick lap for Patricolo. Talking of people doing really well, Sam Hermer again at the top of the timing stands. I mean, he's had a superb second half of this championship. Started out a little bit slow, but he has dominated qualifying at the very least. So will he be able to take another pole position today? Somebody that will be trying to deny him that is Patricolo, and he's coming across the line now. Been in a great lap for him. He needs to find about 3/10. He can find an improvement, but not the improvement that he needs to take P1. So he's about 10th behind Sam Hermer, so he's still got more to find out there on the track.
Pesci just remaining in third place for now. He was on a bit of a flyer, however, he just dropped a couple of tenths in the last sector, and that displayed him. So we see Johan Bigerson here right now. He's making his way through, and so Fabio Verla a little bit further down the field than what we would normally expect. It looks like he was just slowing up there just to create a bit of fresh air. Also a bit of a challenge for all these drivers. just to try and, get themselves in some space. As Van der Koekout heads up into 5th just then, and yeah, it always definitely is a little bit tricky for our drivers just to find some space out on track with so many cars in this championship. But if they can hook it up, and definitely aids around certain parts of the circuits, like you say, Starkey Straight, the run down to the Melbourne hairpin as well, can really aid you from getting the slipstream from someone just in front of you.
It really can, and it's going to be as crucial just as much in qualifying as it is in the race. And anybody that gets lucky in qualifying will get, a couple of tenths. And as we've been discussing how close the field is tonight, it can make a huge difference. You could be going from outside the top 10 to well, almost starting, within the top 3. So it's vitally important. And again, for the race, we're going to see a lot of action into the chicane, and I think those battles will follow on into the hairpin. So lots of action going to be happening tonight. Donington is perfect for these types of cars. It's just quick enough that you can have good racing, but these cars aren't so quick that you can't overtake. So it's really a perfect match. And Gavin Petty almost matching Sam Hermer's time, but not quite.
And just tell you about the times, 1/10 covers Larson in 9th place, all the way down to Bergson in 14th. In fact, even having said that, Newhoff and Catalini in 10th and 11th respectively at the moment have exactly the same time. It is that close out there. Glamset are just heading up into 19th, displacing Roberts and Kemp. Roberts just moving out of the way, just on an out lap, trying to find some space out there. Definitely a challenge. 6 minutes 40 on the left on the clock here at Donington to try and get a time in. Petty, he's on an improving lap. No improvement in Sector 1. His personal best in Sector 2. Best of everyone in Sector 3. Just coming through Goddard's, the final corner. What can he do? He's going to run down to the line. He's got a slight slipstream off the car in front of him as he crosses the lap. There we go, that's pole for Petty. Final sector, it was faster than anyone else, and a great lap from the Brit there.
Really is. He got the toe at the line just to help him a little bit, but I think he was on the flyer before that there. So great lap from Petty. These teammates really pushing each other at the moment. They're about a tenth ahead of anybody else on the grid. So really doing a great job at the moment. But yeah, it's good for Petty to be on top of Hermer, because Hermer has just been a little bit quicker so far this season. It'll be really good for Petty's confidence just to know. Of course, after his fairly difficult Laguna Seca race, he had that moment, I think it turned 6 at Laguna Seca, went wide, lost some positions, and then sort of had a few incidents coming through the field. So this is a great reset for Gavin Petty, and he's looking really, really strong to take the win, and he's pushing even more out there at the moment. I reckon we might see a little bit of a quicker time on the board in just a few seconds.
Oh, it's quite interesting. The track definitely improving out there. Normally, don't tend to see any major improvements towards the end of qualifying. So track temperature currently 26 degrees Celsius. Ambient is 18 Celsius. And, local time here in Donington just coming up to 5 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. In terms of wind speed, well, not too bad out there. 16 kilometers an hour. Definitely a bit of a breeze, and assisting our drivers just heading down towards the south, which is going to push them along the back straight. So watch out for that one. Definitely indeed. And just see Cranswick, on his previous lap, he had set his personal best, currently in 23rd. Let's see what he can do across the line with an improvement in time. Not enough to move him up a position, but definitely cementing that 23rd position for now. Just having a little look up and down. I don't know whether I've quite put the curse on it. No, Rogenberg, he's on a quick lap himself. He is currently fast, personal best in sectors 1, 2 and 3. And just setting a time there. That's why it was a bit of a late arrival to qualifying. Rogenberg currently in 25th right now. And just, having said that, no one seems to be going quicker right now, Seb, after maybe a bit of a curse of the commentators slipping in there.
I think so. I think we need to say that the track is just getting slower, and nobody's going to improve. Fingers crossed that's going to sort that one out. Yeah, everybody's sort of going out. 3 minutes left to go in qualifying. Maybe they're just sort of playing it a little bit safe, sort of learning. Oh, there's a car backwards there. That's certainly not the way. That's the number 62 car. Who is that? Just having a look down.
Newhoff, that is.
Newhoff. So for the Racing Forces team, not the best way of taking the final hairpin.
looks
So,
like Boberg as well. He's had a bit of an off as well. And, well, just regathering, the Swede just regathering his thoughts for Crips Racing, and
he was on the good lap.
He was, yeah, a bit of a shame for him. Definitely, you know, improvements, you know, personal best in sectors 1, 2, and 3, obviously, completing a catastrophic final sector. No improvement for him. I mean, interestingly, that last corner, Seb, Goddard, it's slightly off camber, and there's a bit of a bump in the middle of it. And with cold tyres, I think it's going to be an interesting one, just down into the Melbourne hairpin right now, on board with Alexander Rogenberg. And we're going to head up to it now, and you know, viewers at home be able to see exactly what I mean. Just here, the outside, when you say it's off camber, it's lower on the outside of the corner than it is on the inside, and that wide line from Rogenberg, trying to miss that bump that's in the middle there, and cold tyres, battling cars on the opening laps, that could be a real danger hotspot.
It could be. We see many incidents there, you know, whether it be in other classes or other races in iRacing or even in real life. It's such a difficult corner, Goddard, and you're right, it's off camber. You've got that nasty bump there, and I'm pretty sure it's still there on the more, you know, the real life track. I think the British GT might have had a few issues there this year, so it's really going to catch the drivers out, and you've got to brake earlier there, or at least I always find that I have to brake earlier there than I think. You think you can carry much more speed into the corner, but you just tend to understeer off and you hit the grass, and then you're really just going to be facing backwards. It's a deceptively tricky corner, and even trickier on cold tyres, as you mentioned. So I think this is a real sort of hot spot for action on the first few laps. But then if you get this wrong, you've got this long straight down towards Redgate, turn 1, and you're very vulnerable to being overtaken. So it's crucial that you get it right, but also if you get it wrong, the consequences are pretty dire.
Richard Boberg, Crips Racing, just heading up into 19th place there from 22nd. Going around about 1 second quicker than the previous best. A great lap from him. Richard Van Veen just heading up into 16th right now. Displacing Viola, the 3D Rap Squad Course 2. Italian currently 17th, maybe a little bit further down. Likewise, his teammate Catalini as well, down in 11th. Not quite where he would be expecting to be, as we just see Larson, who's currently on a decent lap here. Let's see what he can do as he closes out his laps. The IGL Coatings driver currently currently 9th. So he's going to come across the line. What can he do? And it's no it's no improvement for him. Just 2 tenths slower. The Scandinavian driver's not going to have a chance to go again. 40 seconds left on the clock here in qualifying at Donington. So we just see Viola. He's down in 17th, and is that an improvement for him? Yes, it is. Up a place into 16th. Definitely an improvement there. Pacicola, he's currently in between the 2 PBR drivers of Petty and Hermer. He's starting on the front row. If he can hold on to that position, well, I'll tell you what, Hermer is currently not out on the track. Neither is Petty, and Pacicola, fastest of anyone in Sector 1, fastest of anyone in Sector 2. Rogenberg's on a great lap as well. He's just drops a bit of time in Sector 3. Now the run up to the final corner of Goddard. What can he do? To mention Rogenberg just ahead of him. He's on a good lap so far. Be interested to see, he's currently 25th, what he can do. But Pacicola going for the line, and it's no improvement in the final sector. And that means that he is actually just shy of his previous personal best. A pole is going to go to Gavin Petty. Wow. I thought at the end there, Seb, that Pacicola was going to do it, but not quite. He didn't have quite enough in the tank in the end. Well, Van der Kokat was he looked like he was on a quick one there, but that's all come to an end as qualifying does there.
That's Pacicola, yeah, I think we all thought here that he was going to get it. Pretty nervous times, I think, for Petty. I mean, he was in the garage, so he'd be just watching the lap, watching it unfold and thinking, this is looking pretty quick. But Pacicola didn't improve, so good for Gavin Petty. Also good for Pacicola. He had a really strong first couple of sectors, and I think he just started to push a little bit too much in the final sectors. I think also the track is sort of going off. So Rosenkrantz still out there at the moment. So is the number 70 car of Alex Rosenberg, just coming around the Melbourne hairpin here. He is in P25 at the moment, all good in his mini sectors so far. Can he improve? Can he not start last? Unfortunately, he is the last of the qualifiers at the moment. He needs to gain about 7/10 to displace Steve Hughes. Can he do it? Don't think he can, unfortunately. He's gone 2/10 quicker than his last lap, so good effort. But of course, it's not about the qualifying, is it, Tim?
No, it's all about, well, it is, eventually, the age-old adage of, where you qualify tends to be where you end up racing, but with so much drama out on track, we've seen, people making big moves. We've seen the likes of Ben Cullen start from the back from the grid and scythe his way through the field. Equally, we've had people fall from the top, as you mentioned last week with Petty falling through. We just head into a 5-minute warm-up now between qualifying and race. So let's take a little look at the championship tables while we're just in this slight 5-minute hiatus. So the team's championship, 3D Rap Squad Course 2, ironically lead over their sister team Squad Course 1 by a margin of some 63 points. Your IGL Coating is currently in 3rd place. PDR, now they're an interesting one to keep an eye out for, with the form increasing of Petty and Herman in the second half of the season, and 55 points behind IGL in 3rd place. Well, worth keeping one eye on them and see how they do. The Scandinavian team of Chris Racing, they're currently 5th with PPR Esports nipping at the heels, only 2 points behind, 206 and 204 points respectively for those two. They've got the other IGL Coatings team. They're on 197th and 7th place with PDR Sif and PDR War on Paper. Not far behind, especially the Sif team. Only 5 points separating them in 8th and IGL in 7th. Racing Forces, they round out your top 10. Then we've got Concord N7, Total Simsport A, Shazoo, PHWB, Team Wake and Bake, Jeans Lone Wolf, Total Simsport B, and CG Motorsport, taking you all the way up to 19th and rounding out your field in the team's championship. Now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Well, Patrick Olo, he's currently leading the way. With on 156 points, we have his two teammates from 3D Rap Squad Course 2, Afaya Catalini, currently in 2nd and 3rd place. Lee Aberdeen, the privateer, he's not far behind in 4th right now, only 2 points off a position inside that top 3. Larson, he's occupying 5th place with Van der Kokel in 6th. Rosenkrantz, and this is where it gets really tight. He tied on points in 7th with Hermer. Hay only 2 points behind them in 9th on 94 points. Larson, he's on 86 and rounding out top 10. Then we've got Wilson, Bergerson, Olassen, Cullen, Glamset, Warren, Newhoff, Van Veen, Rowlands. And that's sort of from 10th place down to 19th. Not incredibly close, and still a chance for those drivers to make a big difference in the overall standings. Currently got around about halfway through the warm-up session. Now, Seb, as we mentioned, plenty of overtaking opportunities around here. I think the opening lap's definitely going to be a really interesting one for me. I think it's that run down to Redgate could prove to be so crucial to them one, and who gets round there first, or who could get round there potentially unscathed as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's such a sort of, you've got a long run down towards the turn 1, and it's quite a slow corner, especially on cold tyres. So I think there will be a little bit of an element of survival there. But what I love about Donington is you have sort of this run down the hill through the Cranleigh curves, and you can sort of race side by side. So I think you'll see some battles sort of start at Redgate and sort of play themselves out as you come down towards the old hairpin, and then you go underneath the bridge. And then I don't really expect to see much overtaking on the first lap until we get to the chicane. Sort of, you've got McLean's in Coppice, which are opportunistic overtaking spots, I think we'll call them. You can overtake there if you're brave enough, and if you're quicker than the car ahead and you're quicker, you certainly can. But I think on the opening laps, and these drivers have proven themselves time and time again that they are really quite clean on the first laps, and I don't think they'll be pushing it. So this is McLean's turn 7. Sort of, you could just see that you can overtake, but it's not super easy. Coppice just up now. This is Larson on board with him through Coppice onto the straight, and now I think this is where we'll be seeing most of the action tonight. Long sort of long straight downhill slipstream will be really important to quite a big braking zone of the chicane here. And if you can't quite get it done at this point, you can get sort of tuck in behind the driver, get a good run through and down towards the Melbourne hairpin. And this is again where we're going to see a lot of action tonight. Larson does it pretty perfectly actually, so I think everybody's now starting to practice their race runs. I think a little bit more fuel in the car and they're just preparing for the race to come.
I mean, I just into the Fogarty S's, the chicane there, and I was covering another series in the very different car. It was Cranleigh there, just putting it into the wall. For the Ford Spec Racer, so very incredibly different car. The fact that they're single-seater, probably the only similarity, but yeah, into the Fogarty S's, people running wide, of course, you will pick a slow down if you decide to take a trip across the gravel trap, so keep one eye out for that one. The slowdowns could play a large part in what happens here on the opening, well, not just the opening laps, but the whole race. But here comes the grid for Donington Park, as we've got Gavin Pesci on pole with Patricola alongside him for company. Herma and Rosenkrantz make up your second row with Fight and Van der Kokow on the 6th row. Luedo and Hay, they're on the 4th row with Larson and Newhoff running out your top 10. Catalini has Aberdeen with him, maybe a little bit further down than where we normally expect him. Olason and Bergson, Annels and Viola sharing a row there, and else great qualifying from him. Van Veen and Skerritt start just behind them with Boberg and Duncan Roberts running out your top 20 and your 10th row of the grid. Glamsetter and Kemp, Cranswick and Hughes, Rogerbuck and Cullen, and Chris Rowland rounds out the grid in 27th position. You can see drivers starting round the corner. It's just so far back, so many drivers here. 27 cars out on the grid. I do believe that Rowland's may be potentially starting from the pit, so we'll keep one eye out for that one. Actually, no, I apologise. That is him right at the back there, starting round the corner. A slight advantage because he's got a good look straight down to the lights, but here we go. We get racing at Donington, and Patrico not getting the best of start, especially Petty. And Herman's going to try and make it free wide, swooping round the outside into turn 1, and he's pushed wide by Patrico. There's cars everywhere. A big accident. Wow, Seb, it's already happening, but now Petty under attack. He's got Rosenkrantz and Patricolo right behind him. Roberto Fire. Oh, no, Petty. That's both the PDR cars gone. Rosenkrantz taking the lead right now, but Patricolo somehow unscathed in second place, keeping hold of that. Aberdeen, great start from him. 8 places into 4th. There's both the IGL coatings have a blue-on-blue moment there, taking each other out. Well, it's all happening here, Seven. We haven't even done one lap, but there's another car off in the corner there. That is the third scene, which was Alistair Hay, just off there as they come down into the Fogarty S's. And I think we just could finally breathe. As they come down into the Melbourne hairpin right now. Everyone just locked up behind one another. 410 separating our top guys right now. As you see, Patricolo in second place. Rosenkrantz, a great start from him, up 3 places. Roberto Fai up 2 places himself into 3rd. Aberdeen up 8 places into 4th. You can see him there. Got another of the free row squad courses. That's Catalini up 6 places himself into 5th, just behind. Bergerson trying to make some advances on Herma, who's had an awful opening lap by his standards. As we just see, it's tight in the midfield. There is Alexander Rogenbach trying to make a way past Van der Kokow, equally trying to make his way past Petty. Wow, we just take a little look back at the start. Patricolo on the left, instantly heading across. A great start. Petty just really didn't seem to get away. Herma on the outside, and free wide does not work out. Oh, and it just slid into one another there. Patricolo, bit of understeer at mid-corner. Roberts coming through the field. He got off to a blinder at 9 places. Steve Hughes just behind him. Our biggest riser so far, up 12. And something, I think, out on track. I'm just looked across to our timing sheets. Roberto Fai, I think he might have come off track. We'll come back to that one shortly. Now I think we're going to see what happened to both the IGL coatings teams, because they seem to have a bit of an incident together. Oh, wow. That looked like a big chunk of netcode, and sent one of them spinning it into the other. Couldn't quite see from above which way round it was. But either way, it's happening. Aberdeen's just headed across to the pits after a great start. He's come in. Roberto Fai, he's dropped through the order a little bit as well. He's down to 9th place. Wow. Seb, it's all happening out there.
It really is. Yeah, I was, do you remember a few, just before the race started, Tim, I was like, they're already quite sensible on the fast lap. Not many incidents, and they're already really good. Well, we had about, there's currently 3 cars in the pit. More, I think, will be there soon. IGL had a terrible start. Well, I think I saw 3 cars involved in incidents. Well, of course, PDR as well. Terrible start for them as well. It's got to feel bad for Herman. He tried to stick it around the outside and just lost grip. I think there's a little bit of netcode there, but I think it was quite ambitious from Herman on the opening lap. But Kevin Petty as well. Just disaster. For most teams, most of the protagonists we were talking about before the race, they're going to be a really interesting one. And Rosenkrantz, will he take a penalty for the incidents?
That's Roberts going round the outside of the Fogarty S's. He said he thought might not be many overtakes, but here comes Fai attacking back. And Van der Kookhout's going to pick both their pockets potentially as they run up to Goddard's. And Roberts, he's not letting go of this one. He tries to join back in, but Fai really under a lot of pressure right now. Van der Kookhout just only one position gain net in the end. But Fai, he's got everyone tucked up behind him right now. Roberts, Hughes, Petty's in this train as well. As Fai gets defensive to the inside, Van der Kookhout tries to find the cutback. He might get this done as he just tries to get his nose alongside Fai right now. As we head down through the Cranleigh curves, down towards the old hairpin. Incredibly tough DCs too, and Fai just gets ahead once more, but up front, it's all happening. 3D Rap Squad, course the teams involved in lots of action. As that's Patricola just making his way past Rosenkrantz and Catalini looking to follow his teammate through. There's what can Rosenkrantz do? He looks like he's massively under attack, and he's going to try and send it up the inside of Volsky. That's Patricola off. He's going to get a slowdown from that one. So he's going to lose at least a place where he tries to scrub it off. Rosenkrantz looking round the outside into the Melbourne hairpin. Catalini tries to find his way through, but look who's back behind him. It's Sam Hermer. What can he do? A time running out right now for Patricola to try and scrub off that slowdown that he's invariably got. Rosenkrantz runs him out wide, but here comes Hermer trying to split the 3D Rap Squad course of teammates, and they box him in there, but Hermer's having none of it and moving around in the braking zone. Can Herman pass both of them? No, it just has to tuck in once more. And Patricola, I don't know quite how he powered on to 2nd place.
I don't know either. Quite naughty there for Patricola. The defence in towards turn 1 there. Really staunch defence. Rosenkrantz still keeps the lead. I mean, incredible racing. Oh, Herman's got a really good run coming out here. Can he make an overtake towards McLean's? I think he's got the overlap. Can he do it?
It's going to be tight. Catalini just got a little bit wide out the old hairpin, and that's allowed Hermer to get through. Yes, he has. Lots in front of the Italian, and Hermer back up to where he started, into 3rd place. Petty down in 12th right now. After, well, his disappointing opening lap at Rosenkrantz, putting in the performance of the season so far from him. Up into 1st place for now. We're currently 4 laps completed. Patricola looking for the inside into the Melbourne hairpin. On the under attack from Catalini in the background. But it looks like Catalini just dropped off a little bit then. Yeah, he's coming under pressure from Bergersen, but right now Rosenkrantz all nearly into the back of Patricola as he ran it in deep there. And Hermer being brought right into the action right now as Rosenkrantz. He's got Hermer tucked up behind him. Hermer heads to the inside, and in the space in 3 corners, Rosenkrantz has lost 2 positions.
Going for Rosenkrantz there, but you just had the feeling that Patricola and Hermer were a little bit quicker. But I mean, that was a very daring move from Patricola there, down the inside, really late move into the Melbourne hairpin. So great move by him, and I really think it caught Rosenkrantz by surprise. He had to sort of steer out of the corner, which just gave Patricola the racing line, and he sort of waved goodbye. And it's also really crucial that Hermer managed to get past Rosenkrantz so quick, so he's still within that magical 1 second of Patricola. So he gets the draft, he gets the slipstream, and he can try and attack and try and get this race win and to try and recover PDR's rate and see if they can score some more points.
There you go, that's another place room gone. That's Catalini heading through into the last of the podium positions, displacing Rosenkrantz right now. And just having a little look, I tell you what, it's gone from, this time last lap he was in the lead, now down to 4th in the space of 1 lap. And we were talking about before the show that different people seem to be running different gear ratios potentially around here. Looking at top speed as Rosenkrantz just gets it up the inside there, Catalini. I think Rosenkrantz could be running a slightly shorter set of gears. And it looks like he's struggling a little bit down the straight, but I'll tell you what is happening once more as Catalini just heads up the inside to claim that place back from Rosenkrantz. But Johan Bergersen, the PDR War on paper driver, now swarming all over the back of him through the Cranleigh curves and down into the hold hairpin.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, Rosenkrantz, you can just see how much he's pushing. That's the second time he's been wide on this lap alone. He did it at turn 1. He did it on the exit of the old hairpin, so he really wants to stay behind Catalini. You make a really good point there, Tim, about the different gear ratios, and yeah, looking at the top speed, I do think Rosenkrantz is running just that, just the less sort of, or the shorter gear ratio, so it means he'll have better acceleration out of the corner, but he won't be able to carry as much speed down the straight, and especially in slipstream. So a little bit unusual, because you'd expect everybody to be thinking about sort of running, honestly, from second down, that you try and optimize your setup for the slipstream, because you'll inevitably be in the slipstream at some point. So I think Rosenkrantz there was he expecting all of that carnage and to be able to lead?
Sorry to cut across you. Something's happened to Bergersen. I'm just watching him descend down the standings like like a stone being dropped from an incredible height. Maybe this might provide some answers to us. So that's Rosenkrantz ahead. He's had a lunge into the Melbourne hairpin there. All okay. Oh, got on the accelerator. And I think maybe even a little dink there from Rosenkrantz as well, for good measure.
Oh, such a shame for Bergersen. He's in such a good position, and so easy to do with these cars, especially on that really tight line through the Melbourne hairpin there, and you could just spin the reels, and that's what happens. He's still going. Where is he? He's in about, where is he? He's 12th at the moment, so still, knowing this race, anything could happen. Gavin Petty has also come into the pits, on pit exit now, so I think he's taken a fast repair and hedging his bets that he can sort of, with the new car, you have a pace advantage, and he can come through the field. 10 laps remaining. We're almost halfway through, Tim, and I wouldn't have guessed that one.
No, it's flying by here as always. Plenty of drama and action out on track. Another classic for the third, for the viewers at home, for the neutral, as we see Larson trying to find a way past Boberg right now. Currently, the person who's made it the most places, we haven't mentioned him so far, Steve Hughes, currently in 11th place at 13 places. A great drive from him. There he is. You can see him just out in front right now. And Roberts, he's had a great race so far, up 10. Likewise, Ryan Annals in 5th place. He is up 10 as well. Also, Ben Cullen from the back, up into 16th. He's up 10. Chris Rowlands started dead last. He's in 15th, up 12. Some, big performances out there right now, Seb.
Certainly. Catalini is going a little bit wide, so he's still battling with Rosenkrantz there. I just want to correct something. I said that Johan Bergersen was 12th. He's not. He's currently in the pit, so he is 21st, so do apologise there. So he is unfortunately not taking part in this race at the moment.
See Larson desperately trying to find a way past Boberg right now. It's tight battles up and down the field once more. Viola, I think... Oh, there we go, he is. You might just see him flash by there. Freely Rap Squad course driver. Some sort of issue out on track and come to a halt, and looks like he's headed straight to the pit, so clearly it's terminal, whatever the damage is. It's Larson versus Boberg there, but let's have a look at what happened to Viola. Oh, a big netcode there. Definitely some issues out there today with netcode.
I think that's that disconnected his drive shaft at the rear. It just didn't look like he had any speed. Of course, these cars with the new damage model, that can happen. And I think that we saw that there. And that's Rosenkrantz past Catalini.
Great move from him. He's finally managed to find a way past after numerous laps. sat behind Catalini. He might have just caught him off into the distance there, first and second. Patricolo and Herma, as we see right now, Roberto Fay make his way past. Rosencrantz has run wide. Oh, then after all his hard work is undone, Catalini's headed through. Fay's headed through. And Nels is headed through as well. And Nels on an absolute flyer right now. Up into fifth, he's going to be chuffed to bits with that one, undoubtedly, if he can hold on to it. As we see Van der Kook out, he's now all over the back of Rosencrantz. Oh, and that's the Nels, the cursor, the commentator strike. He's parked sideways across the middle of the road. Roberts comes through, he's already spotted him. So no collision there as Rosencrantz just loses yet another place. That's Van der Kook out through. He's up into fifth.
Oh, disaster for Ryan Nels. So just having a look on board with Rosencrantz, he's had just a terrible lap. We're having a look at a replay here. This is Rosencrantz on. So this is Catalini overtaking Rosencrantz. And I think Rosencrantz was a little bit surprised there, Tim.
I think he was indeed. Just caught up in the inside, just forced himself wide. Let's see what happened to Ryan Nels. Has he caught the grass? Yes, he has. And around he goes. Luckily, just managed to slide the car sideways and cause any too much terminal damage, but that's cost him dearly. As get the gap is round up to about 1.3 seconds now between Patricolo and Herma. Herma desperately trying to fight, trying to hunt down the Italian who is leading. As I say that gap drops by about a tenth. Clearly a bit of variation. Oh wow. There we go, that'll undo all of that once more as Herma sends himself wide. He was pushing so hard and that's cost him about 2 seconds there. It's a bit of such a mixed bag for Sam Herma this race.
It really has, and I was just about to come in and say, Herma's been, consistently about a tenth and a half quicker than Patricolo on the last few laps, and unfortunately he makes that mistake coming in through Coppice. So Rosencrantz again having another battle. This time with Aguedo Luedo.
Nice, Luedo getting himself through the Melbourne hairpin up into 6th place. I do have to wonder whether Rosencrantz has maybe just cooked his tyres and just see back at the Melbourne hairpin. Two drivers getting past one another. That is Hughes getting demoted by a place. Yeah, it looks like he could even lose 2 places as Boberg looks to make his way through. Oh no, this is going to be disaster! There's contact and the iGel Coatings drivers nearly hit each other once again as Olafsson came through. And wow, it's a big incident there. Hughes, the biggest loser through no fault of his own, dropping down to 13th. Let's take a look from above of exactly how it happened. You can see he had to defend from Boberg there, and the sliding car of number 46 from Larson looks like he's got a bit of damage even potentially there, Seb, and no fault of his own really. He had nowhere to go.
He really had nowhere to go. Just heartfelt for Steve Hughes there. It's so unfortunate, and we've seen other cars in this race sort of lose the rear end on power, and that's exactly what happened. And you can't. There's nothing you can do. He'll be disappointed with that, but I think he'll be safe in the knowledge that that was a really unfortunate accident, and he's just got to put that behind him and sort of just try and recover. But I'm just looking at his lap times, and I do think he's picked up a little bit of damage. That gap between Hughes and Larson just building, as you can see on your timing tower. And it's been a mixed race for the 3D Rep Squadra Corsa. I mean, they've got 3 cars in the top 4, but then Viola. Oh, that's spin.
That's Rogenbuck. And spinning around there, the number 70. The German just recovering there, and well, that's cost indeed. Petty's been promoted a position. Steve Hughes, he's into the pits after what was a cracking race start. See the 2 IGL Coatings drivers, Olafsson leading over Larson right now. This is 11th and 12th, but behind them, up 13 places of Cullen Rowlands. Roberts, you can see right now, he's having a flyer as well. He's up 12 places, started down in 20th, now in 8th. The PHWB driver. Wow, what can we say about him? And also about Cullen Rowlands. The last 2 drivers on the grid sort of dragged each other through all of the mayhem, all the carnage. And now into 13th and 14th, and Still probably even within a bit of a shout of potentially even catching up with the IGL coatings drivers ahead of Larson and Olason.
I think they are, especially, you know, I think they've both had their own battles in this race, and I think they might be a little bit wounded. So let's see if we can. So there's that one of the IGL coatings cars that you see between them as a back marker, which just goes to show sort of the carnage of this race. You know, Alexander Scarrett there, you know, main protagonist in the series. We talk about him a lot, you know, up the front of the field, and it's just sort of one of those races where we have some new names in the top sort of 5, but unfortunately we have some names that that we know that have had issues. Seafew's still in the pits as well, so I think he's done for today. So it's been kind of crazy, Tim, but it's calming down a little bit, and hopefully we can have a nice, calm and clean final 4 laps of this race.
Wow, we'll see about that one. We know from this championship that anything can happen. Anything will happen. We've seen drama right to the finish line on numerous times. As these two right now, talking about things happening towards the end, they're starting to slightly catch up onto the back of Boberg, although they do seem to be tripping up over one another a little bit right now, despite being teammates. As I'm not sure whether I just heard some tyres screech. Oh, that's Boberg gone. That's allowed Cullen through, so he's now at 14 places, and likewise Rollins, they've got past them as well. He's just lost it all by himself.
Too much speed. I'm going to use my favourite phrase. I think that was ambition over adhesion there. He just took too much speed into that first part of the chicane. So he's now going to have a really hard job to get past Rollins. We've seen Rollins be really, really good. Oh, he's let him through. I'm just going to say that I'm cursed today, because everything that I've said has been instantly proven wrong. So come on, Chris. But Boberg did really well there to get past after having that spin. I was going to, you know, suggest that his tyres might be really hot and you might have to just wait a lap or so for it just to cool down. But no, up the inside of Rollins, back into 13th, and he's probably going to overtake Cullen in about two laps.
He will do indeed, as we see. Rollins right now, he's still leading, so he's up 13 places despite allowing Boberg through, and it's actually interesting, just dropped a little bit of time to Cullen. He was very close to him, as we see two IGL Coatings driver of Larson and Olason have just been swapping places a little bit, and in the process have just cost themselves a little bit of time. You know, could have worked together a little bit better as they head through the Fogarty S's right now and the run down to the Melbourne hairpin. And I mean, we've got Ryan now, so he's nearly 4 seconds up the road from these two right now. So come out of the Melbourne hairpin on the run down to Goddard's. I'll tell you what, just looking at it, Seb, last time around, Hermer set the new fastest lap of the race at 119.59, which now he will get a 0.4 having the fastest lap of the race. He has got, you know, picked that up numerous times so far this championship, but I think what's the more outstanding thing, the next closest driver to him was Patricolo, but he was still 2 tenths quicker than him. It was a really strong lap from him. And equally, last time around, they were the only 2 drivers in the 119. The closest to by with a 120 dead. As we just look back to this battle, obviously, Olason and Larson once again.
Yeah, it's amazing the 2 leaders' pace at the moment. Yeah, I think Hermer will be happy to be taking that extra point, but I think there'll be a part of him that sort of feels a little bit disappointed about how the race has come on, because he might have had a little bit of a chance of a win if he hadn't have made that mistake at Coppice. But still a great result for Hermer. But you know, we can't deny Patricolo's done a great job. And what I've noticed is Hermer has been going sort of quicker than Patricolo and quicker than Patricolo's fastest lap, but Sam Hermer's always sort of had it off track. He's always made a mistake on the lap, which hasn't given him the official fastest lap. So Patricolo's definitely played a more of a cleaner race, and he certainly did that towards the start of the race, keeping out of all of the trouble and protecting the car. So Patricolo's driven a great race, and I mean, he's still got just over a lap and a half to go, and as we've been saying, anything can happen. So let's not talk about Patricolo, because I feel very cursed today, and I don't want to curse any more drivers. So
So yeah, you used to see Hermit in the background there. So just look at what's happened to Glam Setter, the Crits Racing driver, running it a bit too deep. I think that's into Redgate turn 1 there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was on the exit of Redgate into Hollywood, that one. And I think maybe part of Pagicolo, the way he's been able to, you've reduced the amount of off the tracks, is that he has got that, comfortable lead from over Hermer after Hermer ran wide. And I think if Hammer hadn't have run wide, I think that's what, his main part though would have been ruined, because he's clearly got the pace, he's clearly quicker, so by this stage I think he would have been up onto the back of him, but the white flag flies. We're on to the final lap here at Donington, the Jeans Ball F3 League. And it's looking relatively calm for now, but what could Fi do? He's got his Catalini, his teammate, just ahead of him. 7 tenths between those two right now. Right, it's Bobo, they're relatively close. Likewise, Larson and Olason will keep an eye on those battles as we close out this race on the final lap here. Larson is ahead of Olason. 24 tenths, well, nearly half a second now between those two. There's not really going to be much chance through this section of the track, but never say never. Rollins, he's starting to close in on the back of Boberg. Sure, we can see a lunge. Oh, there's that Petty. I think that's Petty off in the background there, sliding wide out of Redgate. But I tell you what, these two have really, really closed right up. That is, I was trying to see who that was in front of him, but Pachicolo is coming round Goddard for the final time to cross the line and takes the checkered flag here at Donington. Hermer not too far behind in the end, but it'll be maybe relieved in some ways, disappointed in others. And also taking the fastest lap of the race for the bonus point in that second place. Third, Catalini's going to hold on to that one over Roberto Fay. Third and fourth for them. What has happened between Larson and Olason? Well, oh, I was going to say, it looks a bit too far back. Larson just lighting up the rear tyres out of the Melbourne hairpin. Can Olason, no, he just backs out a bit. Thinks twice, going side by side into the final corner. And they're going to finish as they were. Likewise, close battle going on between Boberg and Rowlands. As is, Rowlands still up a whopping 13 places, only beaten by Cullen, who's at 14th. And then other big gainer was Duncan Roberts, finished 8th and up 12 places. Pretty great drives from the Brits here at their home race. Well, Seb, I think maybe good for my, heart rate and blood pressure that everything, calmed down as the race went on. But, well, that was, yet again, another mad start in this league.
It was. It's another classic race. I mean, I don't think we've had even like an okay race. It's just been incredible races every single week. And, yeah, I think we'd both be exhausted, I think, if the first lap had continued for 18. So, very glad that sort of it calmed down and we got to see some really good racing. And Sam Hermer, 1.68 seconds the gap was as they crossed the line for the final time. So Hermer had a great lap. He did a 1 minute 19.51, but I think he got an off track there. So he was a second quicker than Pachicolo on the last lap. So what could have been for Hermer, but what was for Pachicolo. Another great drive, Catalini in third, up 8 positions. It's been a race of two halves. You've had people that have had amazing races and driven superbly, and you've had the people that were involved in those accidents towards the start. But why don't you take us through the standings?
Let's take you through your Class 5 results here from Donington Park, and Pachicolo taking the victory. Sam Hammer in second place with Catalini rounding out their podium places. Fay, his teammate of Pachicolo and in the sister team of 3D Rap Squad Corsa, finishes 4th. Van der Kook out. Good result from him in 5th. Luedo 6th. Rosenkrantz, what could have been, he did lead in the early stages, but ends up finishing in 7th place. Duncan Roberts, as we mentioned just before, in 8th, up 12 places. A great drive from the PHWB driver. Ryan Nels, another one to lose out from a mistake, ends up finishing 9th. He was as high as 5th at one stage. Larson and Olason in 10th and 11th. Then we've got Ben Cullen from last but one in the grid to 12th at 14 places. A great drive from him. Boberg up 6th himself in 13th. Roland started dead last, comes home 14th. That's a 13th place gain. Kevin Petty will be gutted for that one after starting on pole, finishing in 15th place. Then we've got Glamsess and Rogenbuck, your last drivers on the lead lap, with Steve Hughes finishing 1 lap down, unfortunately for him, and be gutted by that one after that earlier incident at the last corner at Goddard's. With the IGL Coatings driver just making him come into the pits, and devastating for him. Viola 3 laps down on lap 19. Then we're into the retirees. Kenzie Newhoff in 20th. We lost him on lap 13. Scarrett retired on lap 11. Bergerson on lap 7. Then Kemp and Cranswick were lost both on lap 4. Alistair Hay lap 3, and Aberdeen also on lap 3. Still strong. It was disappointing to see him pop into the pits. Clearly something terminal in terms of damage. And Richard Van Veen, fortunately, lost him on the opening lap. Wow, Seb. What can we say? Another win for Patricolo, but definitely seems to be getting weaker. And as the championship goes on, Hermer definitely seems to be gaining in confidence and strength as the championship goes on. It's a really fascinating one being played out between those two drivers at the top of the championship.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just going to continue to heat up as we head towards the final races of the season. But yeah, I think Hermer, I think he'll come away from this race a little bit disappointed. I think that move at turn 1, I think he'll look back on and go, was it really necessary? And I think judging by the results today, I don't think it was. So, but you live and learn, and if Hermer had managed to go around the outside of his teammate and Patricolo, he would have been the hero. And we know that Hermer can pull off these amazing moves. And you're right, he is gaining confidence. And I think that only benefits us as viewers and as commentators, because we're going to see an amazing conclusion to this season.
Well, I think we are indeed, and it's definitely going to be really interesting to see how that battle develops as we're coming into the latter stages of the season. So we've only got some 4 rounds left after here, round 8 at Donington Park. We've got Nürburgring, Sebring, Virginia International Raceway. That's going to be a real interesting one. Not a lot of people have visited there before, so it's going to. I think that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. And Hungaroring, finishing out the season, that's definitely always one packed full of drama and incidents and overtakes. So going to be really fascinating to see how they all play out. And well, Seb, I know a lot to pick through there. What was your sort of standout moments and take home from today?
I think it's got to be the defense from Rosenkrantz. From lap 1, really, he was on the back foot and defending, and he did some great defending. And that lap where we had Patricolo getting past and then Hermer getting past as well. That battle was amazing. I had a massive smile on my face watching it, and I'm sure everybody at home did. And that's what we want to see with the racing. So I think that was my moment that I'll take away from this race and go, that was just amazing.
Definitely, and well, so much drama being played out. Of course, we head to Germany next time out in Nürburgring for myself. Seb and Sean, we'll see you in a week's time as the Jeans Bowl F3 League returns.